Good morning, sir. You are Ernest Sinnett.
Yes, dear.
And Mr. Sinnett, you were previously in court and entered a plea of guilty to the second-degree felony offense of indecency with a child. There was an agreement, and that was in cause number 21-37107. There was an agreement in that case for a cap of 10 years in prison, as well as a dismissal in cause number 21-37108. I've received the pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have it.
Are there any additions or corrections?
Yes, dear.
So here's the thing, Mr. Sinnett. I've reviewed the pre-sentence report. I've reviewed as well a memorandum that was sent by probation with regard to your thoughts and feelings on Mr. Vasquez, on me, on being railroaded, and all of that stuff. Your case was set for trial, I'm not even sure how many times. I'd have to go back and look. The fact that I even know that it was, you were here and set for trial numerous times.
2021.
So this case has been going on for an awfully long time. Let me talk. And so we were here, ready to go with a jury at that last court date. And you stood in front of me instead of going to that jury and said, under oath, that you were guilty.
I was coerced
So there's,
for the record.
so I asked you on that date some very specific questions because I ask everyone the same questions. And those questions are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And your answer was yes, or we wouldn't be here today. We would have been in trial. And then I asked you a question, are you pleading guilty because you did what they charged you with? And if you didn't answer yes to that, we also wouldn't be here today. We would have gone forward with your trial. And so I'm not going to allow you to withdraw your plea because you made those statements in court under oath after us having your case set
I was
on.
coerced.
Okay, you've said that for the record. I've known Mr. Vasquez as one of the lawyers here in this court for many, many years. He is not the type to coerce. If anything, Mr. Vasquez typically is the one who ends up in trial because
Your
he,
Honor,
don't interrupt me, okay? So, Mr. Vasquez, obviously you are have been an attorney of record here in this court for some time and an officer of the court. Is there any thought in your mind that Mr. Sinnett felt like he was coerced into making that plea back on whenever we were here? January 6th? No. Oh, I'm sorry, when was it? That was supposed to be this, we moved this. Anyway, anything in your mind that would make you feel like he felt like he was coerced or did not understand the proceedings on that day?
No, Your Honor, we talked about it a lot, and we actually had picked a jury that day. We're about to start.
That's
And I
right.
explained to Mr. Sinnett that the only way to avoid, if he's found guilty of either one of the charges, the only way to, there's no way to avoid prison if he's found guilty of either one. Either the court or the jury would have to give him penitentiary time. And I explained that the only opportunity for probation would be to plead to the cap of 10 years. And he pled guilty to the indecency charge, and the other charge was to be dismissed.
And the other charge was the sexual assault of a child. All right, and so we're going to go forward with argument on punishment. Mr. Vasquez, you may proceed.
Your Honor, a lot of it is in the PSI. We've been around and around with this. Now that we're here, I don't know exactly Mr. Sinnett's age. I think he's 76 or 77. Excuse me, yeah, 77 now. He's benefited from probation in the past. He's not getting younger. His health's not great. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do fine on probation. I've never argued like this before in front of somebody who wants to withdraw his plea, wants to go back to square one. But he's pled guilty to the indecency, and I'm asking for the court to consider his age and his health. And I don't think he'd have any problem on probation at all if the court would see fit to grant it. I don't see any point in him going to prison for any reason.
I'm trying to figure out. Okay, never mind. So if there was a probation, it would have to be a deferred probation. He's not eligible for a convicted probation. So that is, I wanted to double check that as well. Ms. Malfino?
Yes, Your Honor, in standing in for Mr. Hoffpower, just obviously want to be candid with the court that I have not personally had the opportunity to speak with the complainants. I will base my argument on their comments in the PSI and ask the court take that into consideration, the wishes of the family and also the child that had to endure Mr. Sinnett and his behavior. Judge has certainly asked the court hold him responsible and keep him responsible to that plea. I think it would be an injustice, an even greater injustice to that family and that child if he is allowed yet again, after 4 years to continue to drag them through the process. And we certainly want to ask for penitentiary time based on their wishes and the nature of the offense, but we certainly defer to the discretion and wisdom of the court, with the understanding that if Mr. Sinnett is granted probation back before you for any reason, even a very minor infraction, the state would be asking for the maximum.
Thank you, Ms. Malfino. Mr. Sinnett, I'm assuming you have nothing to do with these people at all anymore. Is that correct?
Correct. Judge, Your Honor, I didn't commit the crime.
Well, I made a finding back when you entered your plea of guilty already that there was sufficient evidence to find that you committed the crime. So we're not going backwards. All right. Right now, the only talk we're having now is whether or not I send you to prison or if I put you on probation. You do not have a significant criminal history. Definitely nothing of the nature of these offenses. Whatever was going on, clearly with regard to this family was a mess with everybody that was involved, in my opinion. I don't disagree that maybe there were other things going on in addition to what you pled guilty to, but I'm only here because you're the one that was charged with this. Based on that information, based on the information that you gave in your pre-sentence report, based on age, everything else that we've gone through, what I'm going to do today is find, again, that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. I am going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, what I'm going to do is defer all proceedings. You will be placed on probation for 10 years. You will be ordered to pay a $1,000 fine and follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. If you do all of that, then this is an excellent opportunity to stay out of prison, and obviously part of that probation is to remain away from the victim as well as her family, have no contact, communication with any of them. You will be on the sex offender caseload and be required to follow all of those rules. And so here's the thing. If you continue to deny that you did this, you're going to have a hard time getting through probation, and you're going to end up back here because you violate your probation. And if you violate the probation, that 10-year cap is off the table now because I gave you probation. No, not a convicted probation. So if you violate and come back in, I could sentence you anywhere in the whole range of punishment, which is up to 20 years in prison. So really the rest of your life if you violate your probation. So like it or not, you're on probation. You have to follow the rules and conditions of probation, and if you do that, then case will be dismissed at the end of that time period, and you will never have to worry about it. But again, you have to follow the rules and conditions even if you don't agree with them. Do you understand? All right, I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement that I followed, and so you have waived your right to appeal. You need to have a seat here in the courtroom. Probation's going to call you when she's ready to go over your paperwork. And I'll get, if you'll make sure and get that, the second case, the dismissal on 37108, please.